welcome to Half the Battle. Today we'll be taking a look at No Holds Barred.
This was a 1989 movie starring Hulk Hogan and Tiny Lister. This cinematic opus was...
What? I've just been informed that I'm supposed to be taking a look at a Special Missions comic with the same name. Still, any excuse to use this clip.
What's that smell?
I know some of you would genuinely want me to review this movie, but that ain't gonna happen. I'm sticking with G.I.Joe.
If you want to see a cool review about it, I recommend OSW Review's episode on No Holds Barred. Link in the description.
And with my hot dogging and grandstanding out of the way, let's take a look at the actual comic.
It's Special Missions Issue 4, No Holds Barred. The cover shows Lifeline hanging helplessly upside down in a tree with the October Guard moving below him. It's a good cover, but as usual, it plays fast and loose with what actually happens in the comic, as we'll soon see. The opening page shows a Joe plane under attack from a Russian helicopter, so we're delving right into the action. Inside, Leatherneck and Roadblock are shooting while... Lifeline? Dear God, what are you doing to that fire bat?
Sir, I implore you! Children are gonna be reading this!
Disturbing visual aside, he's trying to get the black boxes out of the fire bat they captured. The Russians apparently got wind of this, and the Joes recognize their attackers as the October Guard. Their plane is going down, and Lifeline did not have enough time to get the black boxes, to the irritation of Leatherneck, who calls him totally useless.
Yeah, Leatherneck is pretty much a complete dick in this issue.
Colonel Breckhoff hopes the boxes survive the crash. Well, yeah, they should. That's the whole point of a black box, to survive a freaking crash.
Or is it in this case? Hold that thought for the end.
The Joes jump out of the plane, and in an awesome moment, Leatherneck fires a freaking rocket launcher in midair at the helicopter, hitting it. Scrage and Stormovic say a heat-seeking anti-aircraft missile hit their tail rotor.
Really? Thank you, Comrade Obvious.
It does mean the Russians are going down too. All the Joes make it to the ground, except Lifeline, who needs help as he's in the predicament seen on the cover. Yeah, note that it's the Joes who are below him, not the enemy.
Lion freaking cover.
They get him down while Leatherneck continues to be a douche. This useless wuss is gonna slow us down.
Screw it! Counting gag!
When told Lifeline might need to patch him up if he gets hurt, he says he'd rather bleed. Meanwhile, the October Guard are in worse shape as Breckhoff's got a broken arm and Dana has a head wound. They elect to continue the mission to get the black boxes, as do the Joes. The Joes have to pause to get leeches off themselves, with Lifeline having to remind dumbass Leatherneck pulling them off would cause infections. They are then confronted by a huge tiger, and Lifeline has to remind the dumbass the animal will just go away on its own.
Trying to shoot an endangered species. Yeah, that counts.
Back with the October Guard, who are ahead of them, they are setting up an ambush, so that after taking care of the Joes, they'll only have to worry about river pirates and tigers, oh my. And the Joes are about to walk into said ambush, except Breckhoff does something extremely stupid. Namely, he keeps smoking his cigar, so the smoke gives them away.
Yeah, this bugs me. This is totally out of character. Breckhoff is too smart to do something so dumb.
Well, the you-know-what hits the fan, and Leatherneck gets shot while two Ruskies get fragged. Though everybody survives this somehow. Lifeline tries to help Leatherneck, who wants him to use a gun which he refuses, and he keeps telling him he's a pacifist, making the Marine grumpy. But you can't let them kill us! And after Wild Bill gets shot, he tells him his blood is on his hands. And yes, that is a horrible thing to say, but he's been shot and has just seen his teammate get shot too.
So I'm gonna cut him a little slack here and only award half a douche point.
Lifeline then carries him out of the fire zone, while Roadblock does the same for Wild Bill. Both teams elect to keep going despite all of the wounded, including Wild Bill, who has a gaping chest wound that Lifeline can't fix. Leatherneck takes this well. Take your useless hands off him!
Hey, he fixed you up, didn't he?
The Russians get to the wreckage first and even get the black boxes since Lifeline had done most of the work already, but they're interrupted by the Joes. Though I'm not sure why Leatherneck's gun sound effect is punch punch punch. Maybe he gets his weaponry from the Acme Corporation. The two factions are getting into round 3, but something isn't right. I hear something. That's your own heart pounding, chicken. They are interrupted by river pirates, set up by Colonel Chekhov, I mean Brekov some time ago. The pirates deploy so much firepower it would make the Terminator envious, so both teams have no choice but to surrender. The pirates' leader is Sarawak Sally, who looks awesome and kinda like a female Rambo.
Sarawak, by the way, is a state that's part of Malaysia.
Which makes sense as the opening page gave a general idea of where they were. Now, these aren't a yar me hearties type of pirates, so what do they get up to? Well, they make prisoners fight to the death for fun and profit. With Sally being a sexy version of Shao Kahn, I guess.
Fatality.
Yeah, she killed the loser because she bet 200 Swiss francs on him.
Let's see, convert to dollars, just for inflation because this was the mid-80s.
Holy crap, she killed him for about $530 in today's money. Life is cheap on the old river, I guess.
Oh yeah, I totally just calculated all of that in my head. It's not like I've got the internet right there or anything.
Anyway, it's obvious where this is going. Yeah, the Joes and Russians will have to fight. Both teams will draw straws to select their fighter. The winner's team will get to go free, and they'll get a bonus no less. And the losers, well...
Fatality.
Since Horror Show mouths off, they make sure he gets the short straw. Which isn't really a bad thing for the October Guard, considering he is the strongest of them. Though it would have been funny if they made them all draw, including the ones that couldn't walk. Would make for the world's cringiest fight. But since it's still obvious where this is going, of course Lifeline has to fight for the Joes, despite him saying he's a non-combatant. Surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, given how cliché it is, Horror Show is sent flying. And again. And again. And again. And again.
Flawless victory.
Yeah, turns out Lifeline is a black belt in Aikido, a martial art that uses an opponent's attacks against themselves.
I know I've asked this before, but is everybody in G.I.Joe a freaking ninja?
Since he's Lifeline, he won't kill Horror Show, or even step out of the way so Sally can kill him.
Friendship. Friendship.
This pisses her off, saying he wants everything, his life, that of the Joes and the Ruskies. She asks, sarcastically I think, if he wants the black boxes too, cause they seem to be valuable. Lifeline says they're only valuable if you know what they are, and tells her Cobra will buy them back, hoping this saves the October Guard.
Leatherneck again takes this well.
You skunk, that was our objective you just gave away. Lifeline explains that if he doesn't use the boxes that way, he'd be responsible for the death of the Russians, and his principles don't allow that. Sally laughs at this and tells them they're all free to go because one of them had the courage of his convictions. And she just dumps the boxes in the water. Yay, pollution to honor the river spirits. And that was no holds barred.
It was a really good story.
Plus, it was a great character piece on Lifeline, unlike how he's portrayed in the cartoon, but I'm not getting into all that right now. The only thing that really annoyed me was Leatherneck, who was a complete a-hole. And yeah, that was the whole point of the story, him having the wrong idea about Lifeline. But even at the very end, he's still a complete jerk to him. No sign that he now respects the medic, no sign of friendship.
And sure, in real life, this can happen. You could do all the good in the world, but another person could still treat you like crap.
But this is fiction, and in this fiction, the dynamic between Lifeline and Leatherneck deserved a happier ending.
Speaking of things being realistic, there's the black boxes.
In the comic, they are black. Well, dark gray, but that's only because pure black doesn't look good in a comic book. While the one bit of trivia about black boxes most people know is that they aren't black. Flight recorders are made to be as indestructible as possible and are bright neon orange because you want them to be easy to spot and identify after a crash. Them being black would be counterproductive. And yet, this isn't a mistake in the comic because that's not what these things are.
No, the comic uses the original definition of the term.
During World War II, the term was used to describe secret electronic devices on board planes to aid in navigation and other stuff, because they looked like, well, boxes that were black. And they were that color because you didn't want the enemy to find these after a crash. Logical, since World War II was a technological arms race and you didn't want to gift wrap your tech to the other side. The comic even blatantly tells you this in an annotation, calling it a secret electronic component. This is how clever Larry Hama is, using the military term for something that's now mostly known for being something else.
It's these little touches that really elevate the G.I. Joe comic. And this is also one of the reasons why I love doing these reviews.
All the research I get to do, because when first reading this comic, I was all ready to go, aha, black boxes aren't black, gotcha! But then I looked further into it and was pleasantly surprised. Overall, yeah, great issue, but Leatherneck was too much of a dick. Hell, the Hawk is a douche count is at 12, but that's over something like 60 issues, while this guy managed to get over half of that in a single story.
To round off, I have the Dutch version of this comic too, so for some foreign file card fun, I'll point out a few differences.
First, the title is not a translation of the phrase no holds barred. Instead, it says de held die niet wil vechten, which translates to the hero that doesn't want to fight. Yeah, quite a bit more literal, isn't it? Most of the story is pretty much the same, but here, where Lifeline says he's a non-combatant, in Dutch he channels his inner Dr. McCoy and says he's a doctor, not a soldier.
Yeah, that's bullcrap. He's a medic, not a doctor, and he is a soldier.
The only other difference is at the end when he explains Cobra would pay well to get the boxes back. In Dutch, he says the boxes contain information about a secret Cobra weapon, and with that info they could... and then he's cut off by Leatherneck. The point is, he doesn't suggest Sally could sell the boxes back to Cobra in this version, just that the Joes could make use of them, making her more of a bitch when she dumps them.
Okay, now I'm nitpicking a G.I. Joe comic in a foreign language.
Okay, from my point of view, I always do that, but you know what I mean. And this pretty much wraps up the review.
Well, I'll see you next time, everybody, and hey, why not like, share, and subscribe if that's your thing?